Halloween
Forever.
All right, so there's these two fish, right? And the tide goes out and they get caught in this little tiny, shallow tidal pool. And the day's going along, and it's getting hotter and hotter. The sun's beating down. Little tidal pools drying up slowly but slowly. They get forced into this smaller and smaller area of water. Till finally they're completely exposed, right? They're laying on their sides. They're almost completely out of water. They can feel themselves start drying up. They're gasping for air. They're on their last breath. And the one fish kind of uses his last little bit of strength, wiggles over close to the other fish, right up to his little fish ear. And he says, "Long time no see." Welcome, boys and girls, to a very special fishy minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
And I'm Steve.
I got a genuine, you guys couldn't hear it because he was kind of doing like a chuckle, like an under his voice chuckle. But I think I got a genuine reaction out of Steve on that one.
Here's the reason why I like it. Like the punchline is, the punchline is whatever, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I like it because it's so long. The setup is so long. Like,
I mean, that's an old joke, right? It's like two dead fish, whatever. But I just decided to really draw it out and make it extra dramatic.
Yeah, I think it's like it's so long that I had time to think about the time Norm Macdonald did the moth joke on Conan.
Oh yeah. Right.
So
right.
I'm just laughing, thinking about the time he did that while you're doing this joke of this huge long setup. And I was like, yeah, I like this kind of stuff.
I have one that my grandfather told me that I'll tell it on another episode, but it was like a tradition. He used to tell us this joke all the time, like get all the grandkids around, tells this joke, probably, a couple times, 2 or 3 times a year since we were little, and it would change every time. It would be like 10 minutes long. And then it just has this dumb punchline. And we just thought that was like a funny thing that he did. Yeah, no. It's not that, but it's
your
it's my grandfather
telling a bunch of kids the aristocrats.
Yeah. No, but it was funny because we just thought, this is some dumb joke he's been telling for a long time. And then like later on, he, when he got a little older, he would have me tell it occasionally, to all like my kids and nephews and nieces and nephews and all this stuff. And he just passed away last year. And my grandma gave me a letter that he wrote her when he was in the army. And he wrote the joke out so he would remember it because he heard it when he was in the army in Germany. And that's how long this goes back. This joke was like a thing he wrote. And so now I have the original letter of that he wrote to my grandma when he was in the army talking about this joke.
That's fucking great.
He writes the whole thing out. It's like multiple pages. And then after he delivers the punchline, he's like, it's a lot funnier like when you say it in person. Kind of joke because you're reading a joke.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty funny.
That's fucking great though. Just to have that frame. I have this script framed.
Yeah. I just got it like a few weeks ago. My parents gave it to me. Anyway, guys, we're talking fishes for a very specific reason. I got to explain what happened. If you're catching up on the podcast, if you're new to the podcast, once a month, we do this son of a bitchin' thing, right? It's called a showdown episode, first Monday of every month. And we pick a topic. Actually, we pick 3 topics we start out with. We're going to pick 3 of them here in a dang old second. For next month, we pick 3 topics. We put them on, that come from this big spinny wheel with a bunch of topics that we're always adding to and stuff like that. We put them on social medias, and then our friends and social media friends vote. We get one topic. Once we have that topic, we pick a movie. We talk about it. Typically we have a guest. This last time around we tried something different where instead Steve and I each picked 2 movies. The topic happened to have been Stephen King film adaptations. fucking Steve won by one vote on the social medias. One solitary vote across 3 platforms. We have never had
4, really.
Anywhere close. Yeah, really 4 platforms. We have never come that close. You know, we've had close ones where it was a few votes. This was literally 1 vote. And you know what? This is what happens. 1 fucking vote goes one direction or the other. Now, I could have went and pulled up some bullshit Instagram account that I had from God knows when that I don't even open it just to go in and vote, but I did it. And then this is what I get for being a man of honor. I lose by 1 vote. And then what does this rat fuck do?
Yeah.
But makes me watch a movie that when I heard about it, I thought this sounds funny. Spoiler alert, it's not. It's called Fish Piss, guys. No, not even a little bit.
I think it's
funny.
And
I'm going to talk about why it's not funny and why I hate you. It's called Fish Piss from 20 and 23. We'll get into it in a second, guys. It is trash. And like I'm trying to think of a harsher word. It's like diarrhea on film is what this movie is. This movie makes like the Thingy, or like what was the one that's Spookies? Have you ever saw Spooky? Like, it makes movies that are like kind of nonsensical in that way look like, you know, fucking you know, Casablanca compared to this motherfucker. This is just a few dumbasses fucking around with a camera for an hour.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yes.
That's all it is. All right. No more spoilers. We'll get into Fish Piss here in a second. But Steve, like I said, won by 1 vote. And instead of just being gracious about it and saying, oh, man, that was a tight one, huh? Let's watch some silly Taiwanese something. No, he threw Fish Piss out there. Not only did I have to watch Fish Piss, I ended up having to subscribe to Troma's fucking streaming service for a month. Luckily, it's a free month of streaming service. It is just garbage across the board. I'm fumed. I'm fumed about it. Well, so I'm going to chug this. Oh, go ahead. Explain yourself.
Yeah,
Explain how you're not a rat fuck for a second.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm not that. I'm not going to walk that back. But perhaps the reason why is the past couple showdowns, both of us have lost.
Yeah.
So I had to go back into the archives to who was the last champion. And the last champion between the two of us was you. Mm-hmm. And the last punishment film was The Great Puppy Adventure. So that's the last one that you
are still holding grudges from The Great Puppy Adventure. Yeah. First of all, get it right or pay the price. The Great Puppy Adventure, aka Halloween Puppy, aka a magic puppy.
Yeah.
And you're still holding beefs from that. That's why you made me watch Fish Piss.
Yeah, I hadn't been able to claim my revenge on that. So now I've claimed my revenge, and we watch Fish Piss.
Here's what I want to specify, though. The Great Puppy Adventure, aka Halloween Puppy, aka Magic Puppy, that was a movie. Like, no matter what you say about it, it was so stupid. It was horrible. It was lazy. It was dumb. All those things, right? I will admit all of that. It was at least a movie. This was just 3 to 4 drunk assholes who found an old camera and was like, oh, this looks kind of cool shooting certain bright lights with it.
I think
that's it.
I think if you recontextualize it as a skinamarink, it looks a lot more arty.
No,
it's a skinamarink.
It's not. It's just really not. It's just really and truly not. This reminded me, I'm getting ahead of myself, but this reminds me so much of a movie me and my friends made when we were 12. And I'm not even joking. Ours was way better than this. Way better than these stupid man children. I don't care who they are. They should be ashamed of themselves. Ashamed of this movie. I will fist fight anybody involved with this movie if I see them in real life. That is an offer that remains on the table for the rest of my days.
Brian is saying it's
right.
on site.
I'm on site. I'm throwing hands. If somebody comes up to me at a convention or something and says, "Oh, hey, I heard you talked. You guys did an episode on fish piss." I'm not even going to confirm that they were involved with the movie. I'm just taking one from the South Pole and just overhand right, Chuck Liddell style, right in the middle of their forehead. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to jail over this movie.
I'll give you. I'll give you guys high fives. I'm of the other opinion.
Nope, wrong.
So be careful of which host you approach.
Yeah,
one is good and one is evil. One always lies and the other always tells the truth.
Always tells the truth. Yeah. The one that you see that is less intimidating, he's the one who's going to punch you in the face. The one that you're like, oh, not the 6'5" guy. Oh, I'm not worried about him. He's the one who's got a roll of nickels with your name on it. All right, let's talk about beers before I get any more fired up. I got to get some more beers in me. What are you drinking on over there, Steve?
I'm just like being a little brand baby. I'm all on brand today because I've got one of my favorite beers from the brewery that I like. It's from Southern Tier, so I'm drinking a celebratory creme brulee. The old 10% Imperial Stout, but I'm drinking it out of a Southern Tier glass, and good Lord, I opened it with a Southern Tier beer bottle opener.
Oh, you got one up on me because I am drinking a beer out of its branded glassware, but I am not opening the bottle with a branded bottle opener. Although I do have a branded bottle opener for this beer. I bet if you thought real hard, you could guess what beer I'm drinking.
I mean, is it a Pilsner Urquell?
It's not a Pilsner Urquell. Actually, you're not 100% right. I'm drinking not a Pilsner Urquell, but 3 Pilsner Urquells. So a little change of pace there.
Do you have a bucket for these?
Yeah.
Did you?
No, because I have the branded. I got the branded. I'm doing the little 0.3s here, so I'm just topping them off as I go, getting that foam going. But no, I didn't do my. That's reserved for like cans. I need a 12-ounce can, and I need a bucket of them. Pilsner Urquell. I just look at this little. Can you see that? Look at that little bubble.
Is that a bubble?
Boop. Hey, a little bubble on top of the glass. No, that's more of like a Keystone Light situation. I'm not doing that. I'm really bouging it up here, drinking Pilsner Urquell. Is that creme brulee as sweet as I remember it? I remember that beer was like intense dessert sweet.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, it's a beer. It's called creme brulee. Yeah. So it's like you can't fault it for delivering on what it says on the bottle.
Yeah, it's one of those things that this beer is so chocolatey and sweet that it's hard to tell. Are you getting a burn because it's 10%, or are you getting a burn because you're old and chocolate gives you acid reflux? It's one of those two type deals.
Yeah. That's a good feeling.
Yep.
Listen, I'm drinking this beer that I drink all the time, and this beer. So last night I stayed up late, way past my bedtime. I'm usually I'm oftentimes in bed by 10. That's where I'm at in my life. Like I go up, I lay down with a book, I read a few pages, and then I'm out. Right. Last night was Joe Bob's Valentine's Day special.
Yeah,
they did the Last Drive-In Valentine's Day special. Did you watch it at all?
I didn't watch it. I was up to other things, but it just like I knew the 2 movies that they had, and I was like, I like those movies, so I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it on actual Valentine's Day on Shudder.
Yeah. So I actually stayed up. I actually had myself a little coffee at like 8 o'clock, late in the evening coffee, just so I could stay up. I went down the basement, got the little pretend fireplace going, and sat there and watched. The first movie was Freeway, with Reese Witherspoon and
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, that dang old Santa Clara vampire himself, Kiefer Sutherland. Which is a great fucking movie. I wouldn't call it pure horror. There's certainly some. It's a serial killer movie, but it's also, it really jumps a lot of genres. And Joe Bob even talked about it last night. He's like, it starts out as like kind of like a gangland, like kind of, drug type of movie. Like I was texting my brother because he was watching it too. And I was like, this reminds me of like a hard-boiled, grimy ass Joe Dirt. You know what I mean? Like the color, the way it's like saturated, like just everything about it. And then all of a sudden it becomes this like serial killer movie. And then it's like a women in prison movie too. And then, it's just, it kind of hops all over the place, but it's really entertaining flick.
Yeah, it also reminds me of The Hitcher a little bit. And then also just like it has that weird connection of being like a somewhat adaptation, like a really, really fucked up adaptation of Red Riding Hood.
And they talked about that last night, and I remember that part of it because like at the end, like listen, spoiler alert, so like really do fast forward a couple minutes if you've never watched this movie, because Freeway is very much worth a watch. So go 20 seconds ahead here or whatever. But even the last sequence, I mean, where he dresses up like her grandma, like it's very on the nose. But I didn't realize, I completely forgot. I'd only seen this movie I think one other time, so this was only my second watch last night. I forgot that she literally has like the picnic basket, like the red picnic basket, when she handcuffs the social worker and leaves. She like puts her clothes and stuff in a picnic basket. It's very on the nose, but it's a really entertaining movie. It reminds me a lot of Angel too, if you've ever seen Angel. Okay. Like this Lolita-y type of like, almost a hooker with a heart of gold type of thing. Them against the system, them against the world type thing. Anyway, I would have loved if Reese Witherspoon would have stayed down that path because she's fucking great. And she plays the tone. She can be a little over top and kind of cartoony, but the whole movie's a little bit like that. Yeah. So it really makes a lot of sense.
I mean, again, I don't know if you fast forwarded it enough, people listening, but like when he winds up in the halo with the voice changer and his face is all pulled back, like it's gross. It's cartoonish and gross.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I would have loved to have seen like the original like director's cut of that movie too, because they talked about how that thing just got hacked to pieces too. They had to make like 53 cuts to get it, an R rating. So that, and then right after that, watch Vamp. Now I didn't make it the whole way through Vamp, but I've seen Vamp multiple times. Vamp's a fucking blast. Love that. It's so much fun. But the reason I guess a way roundabout way of saying is like, hey, I sat down, started drinking on some beers, started drinking on some brewskis, right? I had a dang old 30 rack of Keystone Light. Ooh. All right. So I was going for just quantity, right? So I started cracking on some Keystone Lights through the course of the whole first movie. Opened the first one before the first movie started, made it, probably halfway through Vamp. And you got to understand these movies are drawn out because it's given the whole Joe Bob treatment, so you got all the breaks, and the movies run like, each one of the movies run like 2.5 hours, even though it's like an hour and a half run time, and I drank me about 9 Keystone Lights during that time. Yeah. Right? So 9, after over a course of, 3 hours, let's say, I drank like 9 Keystone Lights. I was belching so fucking, just so gassy and just full of gas. And I was just drinking them out of the can, stuff like that. Pilsner Urquell, I feel like I could drink 9 of them in half the time I drank 9 Keystone Lights. Like this beer, like it's just less gas and something about like the a little bit more body to it. I don't know. Like I could drink this beer so fucking fast. Like I drank one before I came up here, especially poured out in a glass. Like I'm almost done with these 3 beers. Like we just barely started recording. Like it just goes down so fucking fast. Basically what I'm saying is if you're not drinking Pilsner Urquell, you're fucking up. So still the world's best beer.
Fair enough. Is there something in the way they package things in Europe versus the way they do it in America that like they're more CO2 winds up in cans over here?
Yeah. So literally less volumes of CO2 in this beer compared to your standard. So I think this beer volumes of CO2 is like in the probably 2.3 range. And I think your 95% of your American style light lagers are like 2.7 or even a little hair over that.
Okay.
So there's literally less CO2. Also, I'm drinking them out of the can versus pouring them into a glass.
Right. Yeah.
But also, I think the one other thing too is just the way that when we do high gravity brewing in the United States, which is like how all American lagers are made, where they like brew a wort, ferment a wort to like 9, 10, 11% and then water it back. Right. Yeah. So they're fermenting this higher gravity wort. They're fermenting it quicker. Whereas in Pilsen, they're fermenting it really slow and cold, and they're trying to preserve residual carbohydrates and a little bit of diacetyl. Like that's just the Czech way of fermenting lager beer. You don't get as many of those like higher molecular weight alcohols. So you don't get a headache either in the same way that you do when you drink most other beers.
Yeah. Because it's not as complex for your body to fucking break down. Like,
it's just more ethanol and less, isoamyl alcohol. And like I said, a whole host of other higher molecular weight alcohols. Like it's all poison, right? All these alcohols are like poison, but some of them are more prone to give you headaches than that's why like higher quality, booze doesn't give you a headache as much as like, rot gut bottom of the shelf shit does. But that doesn't play into effect when you're talking about beer because it's not distilled, but it does in the way that it's fermented and how quickly it's fermented. That's like why Belgian, it's not a quality thing. It's a fermentation regimen thing. And we haven't got this nerdy on beer in a while, but like with Belgian beers, these high gravity, really expensive, really well thought of, artisan Trappist ales from Belgium, they use a lot of what they call Belgian candy sugar of different colors. Some of them are really dark, almost looks like molasses. Some of them are really pale, but it's an invert sugar, and they treat regular sucrose with like a food grade acid, and it breaks it down into glucose and fructose. And those really simple sugars are fermented really quick and fast, metabolized by this warm fermenting ale yeast from Belgium, warm in comparison to, let's say, Pilsner or Kel, right? Or whatever lager yeast we're talking about. And it just tends to make a lot of those higher molecular weight alcohols too. But those things that make those really like complex ester profiles in a Trappist ale also might be the fermentation regimen that makes it so when you drink 2 bottles of it, you get a fucking headache. You know what I mean? That's like, I would sit here and drink
Ocean Fruit 10. That's the go-to.
Yeah, that's a great one. I was trying to, I kept wanting to say West Valletta.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't mean West Valletta. That's tough to get.
West Mall Triple.
Yeah. I couldn't think of West Mall. Like I would sit there and drink West Mall Triple all night because I fucking love that beer. But my head would just be splitting wide open, in the morning. But
I never had that much of a problem because like I was a person who could drink fucking Steel Reserve. Like Steel Reserve was my go-to for a while because it didn't bother me, despite being like I'm guaranteed that's just garbage, fucking carbohydrates.
Oh, super high gravity. Yeah. I mean, people have different sensitivities to it too. Like I know people, it's like they don't drink beer because it's like, hey, if I drink 2 beers, I'm gonna have a headache, even if I'm drunk. Regardless if I'm buzzed or not. Yeah.
But strangely, like wine always gave me a headache. Like wine always fucked me up.
When a lot of people have, especially like red wines and stuff, people have sulfite sensitivities too. So certain people who are sensitive to sulfites, I shouldn't just say red wines, but red wines have more tannin too, so that can contribute. But also the other thing that people don't really talk about, and I think maybe we don't fully understand too in beer and wine for that matter, is any fermented alcoholic beverage or a lot of different products, is also the effects of histamines too. Because people have that has effect on people. I don't think we really have a great understanding of that yet. But yeah, that's why when people are always like, I don't drink Bud Light because it makes my knee twitch. You just hear these like weird old, almost wives' tale type of things. Yeah. I never discredit those because I'm like, it might be. They might be telling the truth. Yeah. There's more complexity to it. There's other things happening we don't understand, but like they really could be having some effects that we just don't get because they have some sensitivity to isoamyl alcohol or whatever.
Something causing an inflammation, like a histamine. A histamine would definitely cause inflammation in you.
Yes, exactly. It's like we just tend to discredit, like old Uncle Joe said he can't drink Coors Light because it makes his left ear, vibrate or something. But like there might be something to it. Anyway, guys, what I'm doing here is I'm delaying talking about fish piss, basically.
I mean, the film is barely an hour, so...
I was going to say, yeah, it is. And we'll talk about it. So we have plenty of other things to talk about here. But anyway, I had a good old time, cranked through some Keystone Lights watching Joe Bob last night. I really feel just like it gets me in the spirit, in the Joe Bob Last Drive-In spirit, to drink cheap beer. Mm-hmm. When I'm watching Joe Bob, It just, I don't know why, it just feels very appropriate.
I mean, Joe Bob's like beer is Lone Star, that's
Lone Star, which is one of the all-time worst beers ever created by man. I mean, that's way up there in terms of really bad beers.
I've never experienced it, thankfully, but I've experienced plenty of trash. So
I mean, it's exactly what you think it tastes like. It's no good. It's no good. I remember the first time I had Lone Star was really only about, I feel like I've told this story before. It couldn't have been more than 6 or 8 years ago, but I was in Austin and I went to this like famous, like kind of fried chicken, like juke joint type of honky tonk bar that's supposed to have really good fried chicken, like one day of the week. And I just happened to be in Austin that day of the week. And I went and I got it and it was great. The food was fantastic, but they had Lone Star on draft, which I never seen before. And I was like, oh, sure. They brought the Lone Star to me. Not only was it Lone Star, but it was flat, like undercarbed and dirty draft lines on top of it. It was just painful. I choked it down.
But you experienced it authentically then.
Yeah, I mean, this was how Lone Star was meant to be delivered to your face, which is just in the worst possible condition. Anyway, guys, if you want it, we're about to spin that fucking wheel again. It's that time of the month. We're gonna go through the punishment episode, but we're already looking forward. We're looking forward to March. March is the first month of the year that starts to not suck that bad. January sucks, fucking sucks. February, piece of shit month, trash month. March sucks. March also sucks, but not quite as bad. And then after you get into, then you get into the months that aren't as terrible. But March, we're going to draw that fucking, actually, we're going to draw 2 options, not 3. And I'll explain why here in a son of a bitch in a second. Hold your pants on. If you want to help us by either suggesting some of these topics for our spinny ass wheel, and Steve does have a wheel. It's on the internet, but it's a wheel that we spin. If you want to suggest topics for that wheel, do it via our DMs, either on Instagram or Twitter, or on the we're on Blue Sky now. We got a fucking other thing I don't know about. We got Facebook. Send it in any of the DMs. We'll put it on that wheel. But you should also follow us on them things. You should go on there at Halloween is Forever or at Hallow Forever on Twitter. Just put in Halloween is Forever. It'll come up. Follow us on there for some spooky ooky shit on the internet. And then I should probably mention as well, because we're probably going to be recording that pretty damn soon too. If you're new to the show or you're just catching up and you haven't been listening for a while, first of all, where the fuck you been? Get with the program here. We got a Patreon now. It's patreon.com/Halloween is Forever. Steve, why don't I finish this beer? You tell them about what's going on over on the Patreon.
Yeah. So everybody jump on the Patreon, because when you jump on the Patreon, you get a couple things. We got 2 tiers. 1 tier is a little bit of a preview tier. You get to see a couple 2 treat things there. But the real tier is you want to get on the Rascal tier. Become a Halloween is Forever Rascal, because what you get is you get a monthly post full of reviews. You get some extra things that we talk about. You get an extra vote in the polls that we were just talking about. Like our poll came out even on Patreon. So, but still, if you wanted to move that number, if you wanted to change it, if you wanted Brian to win, you should have signed up for the Patreon. You could have helped it.
The person that's you, and you know who you are. You've been thinking about signing up for the Patreon and you haven't done it already. You could have saved me this month and you didn't, right?
You could have stopped the fish piss episode.
You could have prevented fish piss from happening and you didn't. So get off, quit sitting on your fucking thumb get over there, sign up for the Patreon, help me out, help me fight this good fight so we don't have to watch things like fish piss anymore.
There's something I want to bring up after I finish this talking about what's on the Patreon, but I just want to bring something up. The other things you get on the Patreon, though, are you get to be part of the Discord, so you can be on the Discord, interacting live, watching episodes happen. That means you get episodes like as soon as possible. You don't have to wait for Monday. You get them when they get recorded. So you're there and you can be a part of the episode. You can text in and be like, hey, I don't like fish piss. And it's like, I'll say, thanks, Patreon subscriber. But guess what? It's too bad.
It's too bad. Fish piss is happening, unfortunately.
And then the other thing you get is an exclusive monthly podcast, which is what Brian was talking about earlier. We're going to record Fate of the Furious as part of our Family is Forever monthly exclusive podcast where we watch all the Fast and the Furious films.
It's not good, guys. It's a real drain on my existence. These movies suck ass. They're genuinely very, very bad, and they're for bad people too. People of bad, I would go as far as to say bad breeding. you have been, your brain, the ridges in your brain has been smoothed out by a very, very shallow gene pool. If you like these movies, you sons of bitches. But we're almost.
That's the most waspy eugenics thing you've ever said. It's just like, you come from bad stock.
You come from bad stock. You've been bred poorly if you like these movies. Now, listen, I'm 100% white trash, Appalachian white trash.
Hell yeah.
But somehow I avoided being stupid enough to think these movies are cool. God damn it. They're so bad. So here's what you need to understand. We're on the 8th of 10 movies. We're about to do the 8th one. We're almost there. And I am getting close to being able to pull my redemption card here, because after we get through these 10 movies, we're going to do away with our series, Families Forever, and we're going to switch over to something else. And I'm kind of excited because I found a thing. So I've been really, I know. So I've been chatting with some friends, right? I'm chatting with some of our Patreon friends, some other social media friends on the intranets, on the social medias. We've been trying to think about like what I should pick after the Fast and the Furious is over to hurt Steve. The unfortunate thing is Steve, I don't think I feel that I am genuinely a little bit more sensitive to these things than Steve. And I'm worried that if I do something to hurt Steve, it's going to be a real cutting off my nose to spite my face situation. Because I don't think there's a lot of things that are going to affect Steve that aren't going to be equally or more offensive to me. Right. So we had a couple of things getting thrown around, and I'm not ruling them out by any stretch of the imagination. I know we've been talking about Hallmark Christmas movies, or just Hallmark movies in general as kind of a fun idea. I don't dislike that.
Which I've said in the past as producer Steve, Christmas is Forever is good branding. Yeah. So producer Steve says that. I'm not going to say the person, Steve, whether or not that's going to hurt or not. I don't want to.
But it doesn't even have to be Christmas, because there are Hallmark movies for every, like, there are undoubtedly fucking Arbor Day, Hallmark movies. But that would get old too. But one thing that Dan, our Patreon friend Dan, who is oftentimes in the Discord here, which is he's not here, and I'm almost scared. Like I might want to do a welfare check, because Dan is typically here. It's Saturday night. We usually don't record on Saturday night, so I'm sure he has a life. But anyway, Dan gave me a good idea here, which would be like cartoon live action movies.
Ooh.
So like Alvin and the Chipmunks, Fat Albert, Garfield, Charlie Brown, the Smurfs, that sort of stuff.
Oh no.
They're so bad, but like that sounds so awful, and I don't want to do it either.
Yeah,
like we were chatting about an IG, and I was like, "This is fucking brilliant." And he was like, "Dude, you could do like Scooby Doo, like you know what I mean?"
The Scooby Doo movies actually aren't that bad because they're written by James Gunn. So yeah,
they're great. I actually really like them. But my point is, like, some of the other ones, like, I already have to watch this shit because I have kids. Steve doesn't have kids. He doesn't have to deal with this shit.
Right.
So like it might actually be a little bit of a novelty to him, whereas for me it's just like, no, this is my life. So here's another thing.
That's the thing. I don't know, because you just said like you brought up a whole bunch, and it's just like I actually had not thought about this concept.
Yeah.
But just the mere idea of Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties, like actually kind of like revulsed me at a moment of like, oh wait, oh no.
Yeah. They are so, I mean, a lot of these are really fucking bad. Here's the thing too, is like, I'd have to pick the worst of the worst to make it funny to talk about. And then, because we're not going to do Scooby-Doo movie.
No.
Because it's like, I mean, we could, but like that's genuinely enjoyable. So I don't know. It was a good idea though. Like I said, I won't take credit for it. This was Dan's idea. But here's another one. And this is not going to hurt you. I think you'll generally enjoy this. And this is just me having to just like, I just got to be the bigger man here. I just got to be like, okay, I got to pick something, even though it's not going to hurt Steve. I got to think like, think about your my own personal mental well-being. And we started watching this, Kate and I, and this seems like it'd be more up your alley, honestly, than mine. But this show, it's a show.
Okay.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
Bonkers in a way that I had no idea. And Kate and I went down a rabbit hole the other night and watched like 4 episodes, and it's wild. Is a little show started in the year of our Lord 1993, ran for 8 seasons. It is not Columbo, but it is adjacent.
Okay.
Diagnosis Murders. Steve, have you ever watched Diagnosis Murders?
Honestly, I think I probably have seen episodes of it, but it's not something that's on. It's not something I currently watch, but it's definitely something that would be up my alley. That wouldn't hurt me.
So no, it wouldn't, but it is still bonkers.
Oh yeah.
Bonkers. So I have never watched this. I've heard of it because when I was a little kid, growing up in the 90s, I was 8 years old in 1993. I remember my grandparents liking Diagnosis Murders. So of course I never watched it because it's like they watch Touched by an Angel and shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to watch this. But they watched Diagnosis Murders. And I just was like, oh, it's got Dick Van Dyke in it. Like what could be cool about this? Nothing is cool about this, right? Kate and I got down a rabbit hole because there's like a Fubo channel or some bullshit that has it. It was one of the most batshit episodes of television I have ever seen. I actually took a video, and we watched about 4 episodes, and they were all in the same level of insanity. But there was one particular episode, and just check this out, okay? It's free on Pluto. If you we have Fubo for like watching like local, cable and watch basically to watch the Penguins hockey and shit like that.
Yeah.
So we can watch it on there too, but it's free on Pluto. Season 5, episode 16. There is an episode of Diagnosis Murder called Reign of Terror. It is one of the most bonkers episodes of television I have ever seen. And I've only watched 4 episodes. And there are 8 seasons. So there's no way it doesn't get crazier. There's no way I lucked on to the craziest shit. You know what I mean? So I'm actually kind of toying with the idea of doing like a season. Each episode we do like a key episodes of Diagnosis Murder, because this show it's something different.
All right.
It's something different.
I'm down for that. So if you're willing to not just induce psychic damage on me and you just want to do a wacky show, I'm okay with that too. So yeah.
All right. I'm not sold on the whole idea. If you're listening, if you're familiar with Diagnosis Murders, if you're not and you're like, no, this is a bad idea, let us know that too. But also, before you pass judgment, go watch season 5, episode 16, Reign of Terror of Diagnosis Murder, and just soak it in. There was another episode. It's not even the crazy one, where a guy goes into a Lamaze class with a bomb strapped around his chest, and everyone goes into labor.
Yeah,
it's chaos.
Holy
okay,
shit.
Steve, the episode name: Baby Boomers.
Fuck yes. Oh, I'm watching this show. Oh, that just, I'm in now. I'm 100% in.
It's wacky, and it's not anywhere near Reign of Terror.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched, like I said, I watched 4 episodes. This is going to be your new favorite show. I can't believe more people aren't talking about Diagnosis Murders. We might just have to do an entirely new spin-off podcast where we just talk about Diagnosis Murders.
Great.
Because I couldn't stop talking about it at work. Like, I'm obsessed with Diagnosis Murders right now. It's like my new favorite thing. It's so bonkers. Anyway, if you have any other ideas, I'm still open to ideas. Because I've only seen a few episodes, so I need to wrap my head around this series. Let's get back to the showdown episode for the lovely month of March. We're going to do something fun here that I'm really excited about. We usually pick 3 topics from the spinny wheel. We're only going to pick 2 this time because we're going to pull in one that is a Patreon suggestion. This is the type of thing we do for our Patreon subscribers from time to time, especially because they're very active in the social medias and the podcasts and DMs and send us all kind of fun stuff. One of our other Patreon subscribers, Ron, who's a frequent participant in the Discord as well, he suggested that we should do clown business, just general, taking it to Clown Town, right? And I said, fuck yeah, buddy, because I'm a clown guy. I love some clown movies. I watch anything with a clown in it. So he said, you guys, we should do something clown related. I'm all for it. So Steve and I talked about before, and I think what we're going to do is let's take one of the 3 spins, and we're just going to automatically insert clowns.
Yeah, just clown stuff. Just doing clown stuff.
Taking it to Clown Town. That is going to be our first spin. So Ron's going to submit his choice there. It's going to get an automatic push forward into the 3, but we're going to spin it 2 more times. So what else are we gonna get here, Steve, from that spinny wheel?
So our first official spin is killer cars. So we got killer clowns. Now we've got killer cars.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because we've done some car movies already, so we would have to go back through the archives and think about what we've done that we would take out, because obviously we've done Maximum Overdrive, right? Mm-hmm. Did we do not Carrie?
We didn't do Christine.
We didn't do Christine. We've talked about Christine, but we've never actually did Christine. I feel like we've done. Didn't we do this? I swear to God, didn't we talk about, like, maybe we just talked about it as a potential option because this has come up before, perhaps.
Yeah, it's been voted on before, but it lost whatever poll it was on last time. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Cars. Killer cars.
Yeah, killer cars. And then our third choice for the month of March is gothic horror.
Oh, gothic horror. So some Van Helsing is what I'm going to say. I'm going right off the bat. I'm choosing Van Helsing right now. That is a guilty pleasure of mine. It sucks. It's terrible, but I love Van Helsing. So gothic horror. Okay. So gothic style, gothic stylistic elements. When I think gothic, what's the first movie you come to mind? When I think gothic, the first thing comes to mind is, Bram Stoker's Dracula. For whatever reason, I immediately think of that. I just feel like that oozes that kind of gothic style.
Yeah, I mean that's the first one, and then the next one would probably be, what's his fucking ass? Werner Herzog's version of with Klaus Kinski. That also
Vampire.
Vampire.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, you love it. Hey, if there's a big ass castle, you got some fucking Beowulf looking shit floating around on screen, right? What else did I just watch recently I went back and rewatched, we might have talked about this on podcast before, but V, you remember that? It was like the first horror movie that came out of the Soviet Union, actually, interestingly enough, but it was based on an old, like, Slovak, ghost story kind of thing about witches and shit. Mm-hmm. That's got some real fucking cool gothic vibes.
Yeah.
A little bit more Eastern European, but
yeah, I think also you could find a lot of gothic horror, like when Guillermo del Toro isn't doing fucking giant Pacific Rim robots or Hellboy. Like I think a lot of his stuff falls into the gothic. So you get good vibes.
Yep. All right. So guys, we're talking about either killer clowns, killer cars, or gothic horror as our March showdown topic. Would be pleased with any one of those. Personally, I'm a little partial to the clowns. But guys, if we could somehow combine those and do some gothic clowns, come on. Who doesn't want to see that? All right. I'm putting it off long enough. We got through beers. We got through movies. We took a whole big detour talking about fucking fermentation. Let's get into this movie, Steve. And I'm personally excited to hear you try to justify and explain to me how this is even a movie.
It has a beginning and an end, and then something in the middle. Yeah.
It does not have a middle. And I would argue it doesn't have an end. I would argue that it doesn't even have an end.
Yeah, it has an end. I mean, it's not a good end, but it has an end. He gets killed by broccoli.
No, but then there's 20 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah, and then
there's
that's just
20 minutes left in the runtime, and it's just then they just continue dicking around with the camera, and then they have like a 10-minute credit sequence. It's like this movie reminds me of and I know my friend Brian occasionally listens to the podcast. He and myself, his cousin Frank, our other friends from the neighborhood like Rich and EJ, a bunch of us, we used to make movies all the time. Right. Mm-hmm. Brian's parents had a big over the shoulder, fucking big ass 20-pound camcorder, that you put a whole goddamn VHS tape in. Yeah. And so we used to make movies all the time and record ourselves doing backyard wrestling and shit like that. Right. We did a movie that was like a 3-hour epic that we worked on for like 4 years, from the ages of like, I was probably, we were probably 12 to like 16, right? We worked on this movie, and it was called many things, but generally speaking, it revolved around a particular character whose name was Shithead. Okay. We were 12.
Yeah. No, we started making you guys are just real Richard Linkletters hanging out in Beaver County.
Ballad of Shithead, the story of Shithead, whatever. It was about a guy. His name was Shithead. Shithead was a former professional wrestler turned whatever.
Right.
So he would become a cop for a portion of it, and we would do like a little cop drama. Then he would become like, you know what I mean?
See, what you guys were doing, you didn't know it. You thought you were making a movie, but what you're actually making is a version of The Pretender.
Yes.
Except for
that's what we're doing.
Except for instead of Pretender being a super genius who could absorb any job, he was a dumbass wrestler who couldn't do any of the jobs. That's what he was making.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was a magician at one point. I remember he was like I said, he was a cop at one point. So we would do all these little stories, little vignettes of Shithead, who really all he knew how to do was just whoop ass.
Yeah.
But then he would become a cop, and then we would do little interstitial like commercials. And most of the time we came up with it on the spot, or like literally took 5 seconds. Like I remember one of our two of our most memorable ones, which we still quote to this day, 25 years later, is Frank, my friend Frank, who's also my friend Brian's cousin. Fucking hilarious. He's one of the funniest people I ever met. He goes to our friend EJ. He goes, EJ, when I turn on the camera, when I tell you to go out for a pass, just go out for a pass. Right? And he said, turn on the camera, just pointed at me. And he goes, hi, I'm Frank. The things you miss, it's the little things. Go out for a pass, buddy. And EJ turns around and starts running for a pass, and he just spikes the ball into the back of his head from point blank range. It's just the dumbest little, like he tried to make it just like it was some dumb commercial.
Yeah.
He's like, what you really miss is the little things, and then just pound in the back of his head. We had another one where he went, we were doing this cop movie, and then all of a sudden we decided we were going to play backyard football and record it. So in the middle of it, EJ pops up in front of the camera in the cop movie and goes, we interrupt this previously scheduled program to bring you the Super Bowl. And still to this day, we literally will still say that. We will be like, and like, EJ, you want to hear some Beaver County shit? EJ's dead. Guess how EJ died? I'll tell you. If you know Beaver County, you know exactly how EJ died. But we will literally to this day, anytime anybody brings up EJ, we'll be like, we interrupt this show to bring you the Super Bowl. But like this, we were 12.
Yeah.
This roundabout way. It was infinitely more entertaining than Fish Piss.
But I don't understand. You did all the same things that Fish Piss does. Fish Piss interrupts the movie for a fishing tournament, just like the Super Bowl.
12. We were 12. These are grown men. These are 35. These men are our age, Steve. Maybe a little younger.
Yeah. They're around there.
I would say they're in their 30s, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They're not that much different age than us. And me and my few white trash friends at 12 were funnier, more clever, and put more work into our movie than this.
But what if the whole concept of this movie is to capture exactly that? Is to capture that time. Like, they obviously know that they're doing not good.
Yeah, I agreed. You can't watch this and like no one who was making this thought this was good.
They put the fish monster in jorts and shoes.
He did, which I did appreciate. I appreciated that there were jorts.
Yeah, he's in jorts and shoes, and I was like that has to be a Zat reference on top of it.
Yeah,
because Zat wandered around with shoes on as he destroyed a bunch of stuff. So I don't know. I feel like they have to. You're
saying this is a whole meta thing, and they actually really put a lot of thought into this?
I'm not saying they put a lot of thought into it. I'm just saying they put enough thought into it to make it just a little bit meta, that they understand that they're making this kind of backyard, ass about, movie, because like the movie starts, my notes are, 5 minutes of Beaver County chores, which is the start of the movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was it's just like, let's drive a freaking quad around.
Yeah.
Like, let's drive a fork truck or some shit around. The thing about this is the most enjoyable parts are the little like beeps and bops and VHS stuff. And like, I think that the only thing that I will entertain the idea that is meta about this is the fact that it clearly wasn't edited, which we didn't edit anything as either, because we didn't know how to do that, nor did we have the equipment. Mm-hmm. We would just rewind to the part and then start recording from that part, so like there was no actual editing that happened in our movies until we were older,
right?
So I get the feeling that might have been what they did here. So like I will give them credit that might have been a decision, but the sound, it just makes me want to just drink bleach, like watching it. You know what I mean? It's genuinely unpleasant. There is 6 minutes, like you said, there are 6 minutes, not 30 seconds, not a minute, 6 minutes pre-title card that is just some dickhead getting drunk and driving different vehicles around.
Yeah.
Like he drives a truck, just like what we would call a yard truck, or a farm truck.
Yep.
Then he gets on a quad. Then he gets on like, I forget, something else, a tractor or some shit. What does he have? It's like I
think he gets on a tractor
or something. I forget. Something dumb.
It's one of those little mini caterpillars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just
front
like,
loader.
It's 6 minutes.
Yeah. Just dicking around doing Beaver County stuff.
Yeah, 6 minutes is too long. We even had the sense at 12 that like if we were doing something dumb, keep it short.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it short. Don't go 6 minutes. And then like the jokes. So they do this whole bit, and listen, you can go through it. Like there's not any story to speak of here, really. I mean, loose. There's a very loose story.
Yeah,
but like the broccoli thing, it's just like explain the broccoli rock and all that. So I don't know how much in the story you want to get, but like it felt like a rejected bit from like a early issue of Mad Magazine or something. Like it just wasn't.
Yeah. So I think that's one of those things that captures that making dumb films with your friends type, video, is that we all had dumb friends, dumb white kid friends who wanted to be rappers. And so like they're recording their dumb white kid friend doing a rap, but like he's rapping about broccoli, but at the same time he's also like, hey, fuck you, suck my dick, like, kiss my ass and suck my cock. If you don't like broccoli, the broccoli rock. Like that fucking like it sucks. It sucks because you're watching a 30-year-old man in a tight fitting t-shirt do it. But if you think of like a kid doing it, it's funny again. Like it's a child.
It would have been funny if he was 12.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's 20 years older than that. I'm not even joking when I tell you we had a big mouth Billy Bass.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Like we had a big mouth Billy Bass that made appearances occasionally. We did a movie. Here, I'll give you an example. This is a funnier bit than anything in this movie. We had a bit where my friend Brian had just got his family had just got a compact computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, remember the compact computer boxes? They were huge and they were like cow. It was like a cow print,
spotted cow.
Right?
Yeah.
That was like the marketing. Yeah. So we had the cop movie, the way we were going to catch the bad guy is the cop would hide under the box and make moo noises and walk around the yard. And then the bad guy came up and was like, the cow had a sign on him that said free milk. And then the bad guy had to come up and was like, oh, free milk. There's a cow here, free milk. But the udders that were hanging down were the cop's gun. So he grabbed it and he was like, I got you. That was a bit that we did.
Right, which is exactly
and it was funnier than anything in this.
I don't know. I think it's about the same as jerking off a fish man in the alley.
Is it? It's more deft. Let's put it this way: we had a more deft hand at 12 than these guys do at 35.
Yeah, I mean, you have to watch. We probably have to watch like a lot more from them to understand.
Yeah.
Like where this is coming from. I feel like I've watched because they're part of like kind of a VHS, kind of retro throwback collective of skit makers. They're on. I'm sure it's a whole thing they do that they're feel very avant-garde about. Yeah. And I don't think they're necessarily like avant-garde feels too pretentious. Yeah, I'm being a little facetious in that, but yeah. Yeah, whereas they're just kind of doing dumb shit. They are just doing dumb shit, but I think they're doing it with the self-awareness. Yeah, I'm sure. The one part that like really was reminiscent of the movies we would make when we were kids for me was when they had that like Wish.com Clint Howard pop up and he was like the anti-broccoli guy. Oh, yeah, yeah. And he was doing basically like an Alex Jones impression. Right, yeah. But he just was clearly trying to talk like Clint Howard. Like, and he kind of looked a little bit like I said, like a Wish.com Clint Howard. That we would do stuff like that all the time because just like a new friend would happen to be hanging out that day and we'd be like, all right, this is your scene. We would just throw him in the movie. Yeah. And that's what like a lot of their short clips and stuff on YouTube feel just like that. They're just doing little short clips of silliness. And they're also doing that. They also do that in the film as well. Cause like you said, they have the anti-broccoli guy who's telling everybody about how like everything that's green is bad for you. Only eat orange. And then You have and like the broccoli's turning the broccoli is turning the beetroots gay.
Yeah, he was still he's doing a whole Alex Jones thing.
So like there is an awareness because they're aware enough to make fun of Alex Jones and repurpose his shtick to doing anti-broccoli, propaganda for their pro-broccoli movie that ends with broccoli killing a guy. Like, I don't know.
It's not broccoli though. If it was broccoli, it is a guy wearing a broccoli shirt.
Well, no, that's
he has like
that's Bobby Brock, right?
Bobby Brock. That's it.
He's the spokesman for broccoli, who also is just kind of like this, this rap star who lives in.
But he's also like a ghost that comes, or the crazy guy is hallucinating that Bobby Brock is there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it gets revealed later on in the movie. So our main character, we'll talk about our main character. Our main character, James, is the guy who's been riding around on tractors, and then he's in his basement painting his basement when his friend Jeremy comes over. And Jeremy is pretty sick of James always watching Broccoli Rock on a Saturday. And Jeremy says, I need to expose James to the truth. And that's when he puts on the anti-broccoli guy.
So I want to pause for 1 second, because the way you explained that made it seem like that was just that's how they progressed the story.
Right.
But what you just explained took 15 minutes of diarrhea of the mouth to get that across.
Oh, yeah.
It is like, that's the thing I hate about it, I think, is because if it was just like kids being silly, like I said, if this was just like our movie, 100%, like 50 times more things happen. Nothing happens in this.
Right.
It's just like the one fucking guy just talks in circles for such an obnoxious amount of time. And then the other guy just goes, fuck, dude, shit, fuck, motherfucking fish, bitch, fucking fish, bitch. Like, he just like, it's
the most
obnoxious as fuck.
It's the most like unscripted, terrible improv. But again, because it feels so authentic to those days of like, kids don't know how to improv properly. So
no, but like, this is just, I agree. And even if you're right, even if this is like a meta thing of like, hey, this is how we acted when we were trying to improvise as kids, that's fine. But I don't want to watch it for 6 minutes.
That's fair. Like, I understand. Like,
30 to 45 seconds of like someone say, like, okay, let's take a movie which I'm not even that particularly fond of, but something like Velocipaster, which is now that's not a parody of this exact thing,
right.
But that's a parody of a 80s B movie, low budget guy in a rubber suit, almost like if you took, Ed Wood and put him in the late 1970s, early 1980s. That's what they were trying to recapture with something like Velocipaster. And it's very meta. It's very self-aware and, tongue in cheek and all that stuff. And like, whether you like it or not, fine. But like, they progress things forward pretty quick. They just sit in their dirty pee pants for so long.
So what you're saying is it's way too accurate of a recreation of
it's all, instead of taking the little funny things that happen, I'm going to use a movie. I don't know why this came to my mind. I haven't watched this movie in years, but the movie's Superbad, right? Yeah. Superbad is a genuinely very funny movie. I would say most people would consider it to be like a modern comedic classic.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Very funny movie. They took the little funny things that stupid assholes teenage boys would say and punched it up to make it even more entertaining. Right. This movie took that idea, but instead of saying we're going to make it entertaining, we're just going to follow around the dumbest kids for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
you lost the point, which is to also make it entertaining. You know?
Yeah. It depends on the intention of the artist. If the intention of the artist is to accurately recreate 11-year-olds making movies in their backyard with a VHS camera, they accurately did it. But you're also correct when you say that's not entertaining, because that's also like accurately recreating a pin in your dick hole.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing too, is like, if they would have done that and been like, oh, we're grown-ups and we're gonna like pretend like we're back at age 12 making movies, that would have been actually more entertaining. And it would have been like, fuck, we got to cut because I got to go home for lunch. You know what I mean? Little shit like that would have been true to life, little slice of life type of stuff might have been fun. But they were very clearly like, we are degenerate 38-year-olds.
A bunch of
were smoking, drinking. There's tits in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's just they that's why I don't buy into this like meta genius that you're trying to push over. I'm
not even saying it's genius. I'm just saying I think it's done with the meta intention of like, we're gonna be dumb, but we're just gonna do it anyway, and we're just going to complete projects. I feel like we've been kind of dancing around it, but we haven't brought it up yet. But like, there's a little bit of similarity to the Terror at Bloodfart Lake movies.
So I wrote that down, but then I almost like, it's a discredit to those movies. Like, and I've only seen the first one.
Yeah.
But the Terror at Bloodfart Lake is infinitely funnier than this.
Yeah. They are infinitely funnier, but like, they're kind of also made in the same intention, but they're made in the way that you were just explaining, of like distilling down the best parts. Yeah. And doing it with the intention of like being nostalgic, but also having that kind of click in your head of like, you can definitely see the meta in those films, because like they have characters replaying, you know, they have some character, or they have some actors like playing multiple characters.
Put a wig on and now you're a different person.
And they're not trying to hide it.
That did such a better job. Like and I thought of it several times when I was watching this, is like, this is just a really shitty attempt at making something like Bloodfart Lake, which we could tell was like made with love and enthusiasm. And this was just made with like just brain damage and just like drunk time being killed. It was like they were being paid by how many batteries they went through. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like. They had this thing too. And the thing that I think bothered me too about this is I don't want to say grew up, but like I was the exact target audience for like Tim and Eric, right? When like Tim and Eric first started, like Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job. Like all the Tim and Eric movies, like I was in high school, college, like I was the exact target audience for Tim and Eric. Love Tim and Eric. And even before that, like Wundershausen and you know, those types of like anti-comedy type of shows. Like I was in the exact time, even Aqua Teen to a certain extent, but that like stuff that like a lot of people got popularized by Adult Swim. You can tell that they kind of were in that demographic, but they don't have the talent or put the work in to make it actually funny. And it had these Tim and Eric-y vibes, but like, you just imagine them standing around going, you know how Tim and Eric just do stuff that isn't funny and then it becomes funny? We should do that. We can be not funny, but they're not funny has nothing behind it. Like you pull back that layer of the onion, there's nothing under it, you know? And so and I was thinking that the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then they literally have a Tim and Eric cameo, like not a cameo with Tim and Eric. I mean, I think they literally went to cameo.com or the Cameo app and got the one guy who is oftentimes shows up on Tim and Eric to do a little just spit words at the camera that are a complete non sequitur.
Yeah, David Liebhart is his name.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. Like I feel like that's the mystery. It's almost like pro wrestling. You don't know what's kayfabe and what's not. Are they keeping the kayfabe of being seemingly incompetent and it doesn't play for you? Or, again, back to the big fish, the big mouth Billy Bass.
Yeah.
One, knowing to include that is such a kind of 90s throwback to the time, which again puts them in our demographic.
Yeah.
To know that it would also register with us, not just that it's something that they know, but it registers with us. I like the fact that like there's kind of the voiceover editing of them. Like they didn't do away with the audio of the big fish bass singing "Don't Worry, Be Happy," but they recorded its own audio of like saying kill him. It has
for this 1 minute, I thought like, oh, this is going to be funny, the direction they go.
Yeah.
But it never becomes funny. Like it showed promise like 2 or 3 times throughout the movie for like a total of 90 seconds. It showed promise, but it never delivered.
You have to pick the moments that are funny out of it. Like it's never a sustained thing. Okay, again, another example of a film that you enjoy better because it does it with intention is Black Dynamite. Like Black Dynamite plays the meta of those 70s films. So when they include a boom in the shot, they do it intentionally for a joke, not because they're bad filmmakers. They're good filmmakers who know how to break the rules properly.
Yeah.
Whereas it feels like, we're unsure of what their filmmaking prowess is. And I just feel like just some of the editing choices, some of the choices in here tell me that they know what they're doing, but they're just making it too accurate. They're playing kayfabe too hard, and it throws things off. But I can also be wrong. I'm always willing to be wrong. Yeah.
I mean, like here's where the kind of thing that it's just like, you have to be able to do at least, and I'm not saying you got to turn like Black Dynamite. I'm not saying you got to turn and wink at the camera and go, look what we're doing.
Right.
But just give us at least it being funny so that we can go, was that funny on purpose or was it funny on accident? But when it's not funny ever for any reason, we have no reason to care whether it's kayfabe or not. You know what I mean? So like there's one point where like he decides he's going to shave his head.
Yeah.
And he kind of does, but it just felt like they were just coming up with things to record on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, again, it never becomes interesting or funny. So like if it was funny, then you would be like, oh, that's funny in spite of itself, or it's funny because they wink, wink, nod, nod. They get it. But when it never becomes funny at all, it makes you wonder it makes you just not care either way. Like,
see, I actually
who cares if they're doing something clever because it's never enjoyable or funny.
See, I actually thought that specific scene was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because the whole setup is James, after he's become addicted to fish piss, he also like we haven't really even gotten into just like how the story goes. So it's hard. So just to sum it up,
45 seconds you could summarize it.
But to sum it up real quick, we already spoke about James and Jeremy. After James gets upset about the anti-broccoli propaganda, he starts drinking fish piss. He gets addicted to fish piss, and the only way to get fish piss is to jerk off fishes, and then they piss after they come, as most people do.
It's the concept is like one of the things where you're like, oh, this could be kind of funny. This is something we would have said when we were 12.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a silly concept of like you because it's like a 12-year-old saying, you know how after sometimes you make white, you got to pee afterwards. You know?
Yeah. Like I remember my friend Brian used to think it was really funny that the idea of after you jerk off, you feel like you have to pinch your dick and squeeze everything out like it's a toothpaste tube.
Yeah.
He thought that was a really funny concept. And I remember us like making jokes in movies about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's fun. Yeah.
But that's exactly what they're baking off of. They're baking off of like a 12-year-old sensibilities of like, hey, isn't it weird that you have to pee after you come? What if the pee after you come is like super good and gets people addicted? What if it came from a fish monster?
Okay. I'm not saying the premise, like when you told me what this movie was about, I was like, this is going to be funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah. I think, I just think it's because they did it too accurately. And like you said, like this movie does spend just incredible amount of time just dicking around. But then there are just these tiny little moments that make me laugh. Like the big fish Billy Bass. I don't know why it made me laugh, but it made me think of like Skinamarink, because they're trying to do Skinamarink, but like they don't delete the original audio and they just do a shitty voiceover doing kill him, which is like, that's Skinamarink.
That was like like I said, that was for 10 seconds. I was like, this might be funny. And then it never comes to fruition. But
and then after he kills him, after he kills his friend Jeremy and rips his head off, which is just an obvious mannequin head, just him standing in the basement holding the wrench over his friend's head, screaming, "Fuck you, motherfucker!" Like it's, I don't know. It makes me laugh out of like, I don't know, just remembering the cringe things I did with my friends back in the day. Because we also had like the VHS camera and we did like Jackass videos and shit like that.
Sure.
So,
but like the things that you're explaining that were like on a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being not at all funny and 10 being very funny, are like a 1.5.
Yeah.
Those things all happen within about 45 seconds of each other.
Yeah.
And then we're left with an entire other hour plus of nothing.
Well, I think there's two more scenes. One of them is that head shaving scene. So like James, after he gets addicted to the fish piss, he forms a relationship with a fish monster, but the fish monster is constantly rejecting him. So he shaves his head to be more pretty and presentable. And as he's shaving his head, he's like, "Am I beautiful now?" Like, that's funny.
It's not, but I get what you're saying. Like, it probably would have been funny when I was 12.
Yeah.
I think the only other part that I thought was a little funny, just because of the absurdity of it, was when the fish. So the only other thing that I kind of liked, and this was a reoccurring thing, was when the fish talks, it comes up as text on the screen.
Right.
Almost like an old, silent film. And so the fish monster comes out of the water near the end and he's like, "I told you I was going to rip your dick off." And he like starts pulling off his pants and like fight, like they're like struggling, and he's slowly pulling off his pants. And then there's a scene of him presumably going to pull off James's dick, and he's like tugging at his dick. And just as he's about to get his dick ripped off by the fish man, a sexy fish lady comes out of the pond.
Yeah.
And flops her boobs out. Yeah.
Her very human boobs. Because she's just in a sweatshirt.
She's wearing a sweatshirt and she has the same fish mask on, but she hasn't painted her body green or put anything green on except for the fish mask. So that was the only part I was just kind of like, like I didn't laugh, but I was just like, oh, okay. It's funny that she's got a sweatshirt on. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know, man. I mean, I can't make you like it, but I also understand why you don't.
Well, and then he jumps into the water after her, stops trying to rip James's dick off, and James, his voiceover is like, "And that's the last time I ever saw that fish fuck."
Yeah.
And there's 20 minutes left.
Right.
In the runtime. And it was because there were, you do this after credit thing where like James's friend goes to the insane asylum and just like, I guess the only part that was not even scary, because nothing about this is scary, but there was like a scene that you could construe as like kind of gross or like violent, was when he puts the garbage bag over the other friend's head. Because the thing we didn't get to is like James murders people to like satisfy the fish, almost like to, I don't want to say seduce, but like to get the fish monster out of the lake so he can jerk him off and get his fish piss.
Yeah. It becomes a very simple, like almost Lovecraftian story of there's a symbiotic relationship between the protagonist and the monster, and he has to kill for the monster in order for the monster to satisfy his addiction, is all it is.
Yeah. But then there's 12 minutes after that of just credits mixed with these guys just dicking around. Literally after credits. Yeah. Or like not even bloopers, just like behind the scenes, them just recording themselves dicking around. Ultimately, where I get with this is I don't know if I can. It's not really a movie so much. Like, this is just several adult men, I think, just getting drunk and fucking around with an old camera that they found, which is fine. It's cool. Let's have fun. But I don't want to watch it. Like, I'm not like, you guys are assholes for getting drunk with your friends and dicking around with this old camera. Do that.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
But don't make it a movie like that I need to watch.
Yeah. I don't know. Cause there's such a like, and I guess you would say movement. There's a movement towards reincorporating analog into like filmmaking in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Even not necessarily like this long form format, but like a lot of TikTok and just like art installations and stuff. They a lot of them play with analog.
Yeah.
In recreating that feel. Video games are getting into that a lot, like because it is ultimately easier to make a game that looks like it's from the PS1 era, and then you slap a VHS filter over it and you go, oh, it's like when I played on a fucking CRT. So yeah, I don't know where these guys fall into that, because again, if you look at their like YouTube page, all of their stuff is this analog, and I even question, are they doing it? Are they doing it naturally with just like filming on a VHS camera and, transferring from a VHS tape, or are they putting in the real work of degrading footage and putting it into a 4:3 format and adding fucking all these filters and shit to it?
If they are, that's almost more sad. Because to put all that work into making something that is this not entertaining would be a depressing proposition. Like, I think it's the former. I think they are literally like, we found this camera and this is our whole shtick, is like, because there are some scenes, especially when it's like the broad daylight scenes, where you have this super saturated contrast of like the sky and the grass, and it does look kind of cool. But that is the most redeeming part by far. So if they're doing all that and putting like hours and hours and hours and hours into figuring out how to do it painstakingly with digital effects, that is like, really sucks. I mean, or I guess you could say it was like a labor of love, but like even some of those games that people are like making to make it look like it's Silent Hill, you know, the original Silent Hill or whatever.
Yeah.
Even those are like, they're fun. The whole idea is that they're still fun. This is just, it's just not fun. Like, it's just not fun, not entertaining. It's a slog to watch. It's not funny. It's not scary. It's certainly not scary. Mm-hmm. It's not even really gross. It's not anything. It's just a waste of batteries. Like that's really the only thing I think it is.
It's a waste of batteries.
It's just a carbon footprint of a movie.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, hey, it's a, again, like, what if that's just kind of like the ethos of their whole like filmmaking? Because I mean, what we did in our teens was a fucking waste of batteries and a carbon footprint.
But we weren't putting it on a streaming service that people pay money for. No one saw this. It just sat in someone's parents' basement, and it was literally just, we don't have anything else to do.
Right.
Because we're 12 and we don't have a driver's license and we are home. We're latchkey kids, you know.
Yeah.
That's all. That's why we did it. They don't have excuses like that. We were just really desperately trying to pass the time and have fun with our friends. I guess you could argue that they're doing the same, but it becomes a real movie and they had to do things to make this a real movie. And then they had to have a meeting. So I was thinking about this during the movie. They had a meeting with Trauma. And I'm not saying Lloyd Kaufman was there and he was like, I love it. It's great. It's Boffo. But let's say they're sitting there.
Yeah.
They had to have a meeting with somebody, at least a phone call.
They probably had a phone call or an email. I wouldn't put it too much farther than that.
But someone said, yes, we would like this movie to put it on our streaming service.
Yeah. And
they either watched it. I like to believe they didn't even watch it. They just were like, how long is it? 70 minutes. Okay. What's it called? Fish piss. Do you have a poster? Yes. They don't. All right. Send us the poster. We'll think about it. And then somebody was like, got the email at 3 p.m. on a Friday one day and was like, fish piss. Okay. Yeah, sure. That's how the only way I can think that it's on here. Yeah. Fine. Yeah.
I'm of the mind that it's a lot of intentional avant-garde behavior, and maybe it doesn't land with you. And not saying that I'm like fully on board with what they're doing, but I kind of get. I just never have the mentality of like, if you're trying to create art, you're trying to do something, and if it resonates with somebody, it resonates with somebody. So I don't know that I'm gonna like tune in to every fucking Janice Click video that comes out. I just saw this one come up and I go, fish piss, great. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, it's a bunch of, we're playing in that VHS analog aesthetic. And then we watched the movie and I was like, I'm never going to watch this movie again. But I don't know. I kind of appreciated what they were doing through the video. And I think it plays better. Again, their YouTube channel is a lot shorter, more consumable things that have the same feel, but it's easier to watch because you're just watching, 20 seconds or a minute. And you go, oh, okay, we're doing kind of like analog spookies. We're doing little analog spookies.
That would have been fine. 20 seconds would have been all right. An hour plus. So there's 4 user reviews on IMDb, and I'm curious.
Hell yeah.
All right. So I'm going to read a couple of these. I'm reading them live. One of them's 2 out of 10, and it says, I suppose. If I found an old VHS recorder in a dumpster, I might be inclined to shoot a few scenes, but I doubt I could come up with anything or something this bad. Honestly, the quality is seriously bad. What good is having 4K television if I'm okay? So this guy's kind of missing the point, whatever.
Right, yeah.
I watched it because it seemed to have a quirky storyline. If they use modern tech to put this together. Okay, so this guy just completely missed the point. That's fine. Whatever. 5 out of 10. Wild to say 5 out of 10. Lynchian as all get out. Don't ask me how I found this movie, but I watched most of it. No, he didn't. He watched 15 minutes max. Stylized as all hell, bizarre performances, and way too much crossfades, but it's undeniably Lynchian and creative and playful and unashamed and exactly what it is. The grammar suggests to me this person is a moron. I wish people were brave enough to write things like this more often. No one wrote this. There's no writing. Also, wonderful scoring and soundtrack to the whole thing. Wrong. It set a fantastic or a fascinating tone. Another commenter said it looked terrible, but that's so obviously the point. Yeah, I agree with that. Clearly about green things, so they made it green. That's effective color grading at work. Anyways, I don't know what else to say about this. Nicely done, boys. He knows this person. Like, so that's somebody who knows the filmmakers. There's no way it's not.
I feel like 3 of these 4 reviews are from people who know the filmmakers.
The next one is 10 out of 10 best movie I've ever seen. Yeah. And I'm not going to read it because it is lengthy, but it's in the enchanting world of fish piss. Every frame is a masterpiece, weaving a tapestry of emotions that transcends the boundary of cinema. So this is a very tongue in cheek. And then the last one is, why would they ever try to make this? 1 out of 10. I cannot believe I sat through a movie with such filth in it. So I don't know. This is just a whole hodgepodge of dysfunction, these reviews here.
Yeah, this last one, it feels like one of them wrote it. Because
I agree.
Yeah, because he's like, I can't believe I sat through a movie with such filth in it is like, that's such a call to.
Yeah, it's like a humble brag almost.
Yeah, yeah,
filmmakers.
Like there's so many movies with more filth to them. Let's go to Letterboxd.
Yeah, listen to this. This Janice.click crew. So first of all, if somebody really hated them, they would not have called them by name.
Exactly.
This Janice.click crew seems to only be making movies for fun, and I cannot stand that. Everyone knows when you make movies, you do it to be judged harshly. So it's a very tongue-in-cheek review, 1 out of 10. Yeah, it's clearly a user, this is the thing that's bothering me, and I'll shut up about trashing this movie.
Sure.
These guys, I don't know them. I like I said, I have pledged to fist fight them. I get the feeling that they think that they're more clever than they are. You know what I mean? Like they think they're doing. Did you ever watch Workaholics?
No, I didn't like that show.
Have you ever watched that?
No, I actually didn't like that show.
There's some funny episodes to it. There's some really dumb episodes to it. But there's one kid who's like a 12-year-old who hangs out with their drug dealer, Carl, who's like this fucking loser guy. And he's like gets into this thing where he thinks he's being like this like street artist, graffiti artist. And he's just like up his own ass about it. And I just feel like these guys are just kind of up smelling their own farts a little bit and forgot to make the movie entertaining.
Yeah. I feel like I just get the sense that if they were presented with this podcast and they heard what you had to say, their retort would just kind of be like almost millennial nihilism.
Agreed.
And that like they don't care if they're dumb and they don't care if you don't like it. Like they're not doing anything but doing it. They're just doing to do.
I agree.
So like,
and that's why I'm saying I'm not saying don't make it.
Right. Yeah.
I'm saying I don't want to watch it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, I don't think there's anything you could say that would hurt them.
No, of course not. No. No,
So,
that's absolutely true. Like, that's not like, there is nothing. I feel very confident in saying that there is nothing that I could say that they would be like, you know what, you're right, this is bad. Like, they would be like, it's like I said, it's the peeling back the layers of the onion thing,
mm-hmm.
where it's like they feel like they're always going to have a trump card, which is, but we know it's bad and we're okay with that and we're making it to make it.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, no matter how however I slice it,
it literally turns into Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck season, Wabbit season. It's like, but you suck, but we know we suck, but you suck, but you don't know how bad you suck. Oh, we know how bad we suck.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way of putting it. Yes, we know we suck. No. I don't think you know how bad you suck. Oh, we know.
Oh, we know
more than you'll ever know. We suck on purpose and so hard. Yes, but I think that sucks. Yeah, we know it sucks to suck. But I know, it sucks that you suck and know that it sucks.
But we know it sucks to suck.
But we know that it sucks to suck, and we also know that it sucks to know that we suck, that it sucks. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
It's anything that's like, it's, I have no doubt that's the mentality, but doesn't make it a fun movie or make it worthwhile, or should anybody ever watch it?
Right. Yeah. It doesn't, again, like I already said it, but it's like, it just doesn't have artistic value for you. Not that it has artistic value for me, but I kind of think I see what they're aiming at. And if it means something to other people, because like, I don't know, maybe it means something to people who are way younger than us, who have no like frame of reference to the way things were done in the past of like VHS. Maybe it's interesting to them. If that's true, if it is like a time capsule type of thing for certain people, and you get enjoyment out of it that way, I am all for it. Absolutely do it and watch it and fine. But like, from my perspective, and I would probably imagine that at least a significant percentage of our listenership is at least within 100 miles of my point of view on this. Oh yeah.
If you are, avoid this like the plague.
I guarantee most of our listeners are on your side. I'm sure. Yeah.
If you like this movie and saw value in it and were happy you watched it, you're probably not listening to this podcast.
I just think it's interesting because like, there's also just like, again, there's a pervasive nihilism in the younger generations in like, in like the crazy shit that they watch, which also makes them curious about like repurposing analog stuff.
Well, and that's why I love all these old like weird clips that like we send each other back and forth of like this weird analog shit, or even like weird early digital animation stuff that's like completely asinine, but it's 20 seconds. It's not 75 minutes. You know what I mean? So like it's a little bit more digestible in that format. But
that's another thing we just didn't even mention, but like they include just out of nowhere, there is there's a computer animated big titted lady running through the woods. The best part about it was that little computer animated part with the fish man. That was the best thing about it. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, this might be actually cool. That was one of the moments where I was like, this might be actually cool for a second. Yeah. But it just feels like a thing they just threw in. Like they threw it in intentionally as like something as like, that's how we cover up a scene we can't film. Because we don't have a female friend, so we make a shitty computer animation to show the fish attacking her or something. I mean, that might have been the best part of the whole movie. Is that like 20 seconds of putting that in there. So can I read you a letterbox review? Yeah. It just says simply no stars even given. It just says, I have now ended the relationship with my boyfriend. This was the final straw.
Yeah, it's like if your intention is just to kind of like freak out squares, then like, all right, fine. I like your idea, and I would say I'm more likely to be convinced of this as having value as a time capsule type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I would argue that if that's your bag and that's what you're trying to accomplish, then you can find the real genuine article on YouTube a million times over.
Mm-hmm.
That is a better time capsule, that is more entertaining, that is shorter, that is all of those things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is kind of hard to actually just find that stuff it naturally, but it does prop up. What is the Found Footage Fest is they've been curating this stuff forever because they've been putting out just like they have a whole bunch of found footage stuff, like that guy who sells the RVs and fucking loses his shit. But then they also
go to Everything is Terrible. Like go watch Everything is Terrible.
Yeah.
Like you'll that's infinitely funnier. I've paid money to see them put on shows live. Like they are hilarious editing geniuses, and this is like they comb through thousands of hours to find actual entertaining stuff.
Yeah. Here's another Letterboxd review. 2 stars. Average YouTube video in 2009 to 2013. So
I was going to say, honestly, I was just thinking about like the average, like this is below average for all of YouTube for its entire history. You know what I mean? Like I would say if you just said even early YouTube, if you picked a random video from, like you said, 2008 to 2012, it is more likely that it would be funnier and more entertaining than this. Perhaps with the exception of the like I said, the little digital animated part. That was the only part I actually liked.
Yeah. That kind of time frame of YouTube is how you got like the magic of things, of Star Wars Kid.
Yeah.
You know, but those were natural occurrences.
Those are candid things.
Yeah, that was real candid. It was seeing America's Funniest Home Videos without having to go through Bob Saget as your dealer. There was the pure uncut raw shit. That
uncut shit. Yeah. Oh man, it's like it's I guess it doesn't really even get to like cringe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, cause I'm a fan. Me and my brother send some really, really intense cringy shit back and forth to each other of like people on TikTok, like, you know, review just really cringy shit. And I can see value in that and think that's funny, but like this doesn't really even hit on that. It's not even really cringy. Maybe it will be someday.
Yeah.
And that'll be why it's funny.
Yeah. It's not cringe because they protect themselves essentially as artists. Like even when we were talking about, you know, the scene where James gets his dick attacked by the fish man, you never see anything. It's never even a vulnerable of like, oh, that dude has like a tiny ween or something. Like you never see like a tiny ween or a big bush or something like that to make you go, oh, that's kind of embarrassing for him. You know? So I mean, it's a generally protected film. And because it was made with intention, you don't have those natural embarrassing moments. So I can see how like when you manufacture it doesn't hold value. Yeah.
Guys, I hate it. Don't watch it. It's called fish piss. Avoid it. Steve says maybe watch it.
Yeah. I'd say maybe if you have an easy way to find it, if you already have a Trauma Now subscription. I wanted to mention, you just mentioned your brother, and I forgot to mention earlier in the episode. But this is kind of your brother's fault because he voted for me on Instagram.
I
saw that. That's why.
Just rat bastard. He's listening to this right now, probably too. You fucking rat fuck. It's your fault. It's your fault. I have made him watch some really dumb shit though, over the years. So I probably deserve it. Anyway, guys, that is Fish Piss from 2013.
2023.
A title that was. What did I say? 2013. Yeah, it's a Freudian slip there. 2023. It feels like it's from 2003, or earlier, perhaps. Don't watch it. That's the prognosis. But what you should watch is some killer clown movies, some killer car movies, some gothic horror movies, perhaps. Go over to the old social medias. Help us vote. Check out our Instagram stories in the next few days. Check out our poll over on the Twitter. Vote for one of those, whether you want to go killer clowns, which was Ron's suggestion, killer cars, which came from the old spinny wheel, or gothic horror. Pick one of those. And then once we have a topic, throw us suggestions, please, because depending on what lands, we might have some conversations about movies that shouldn't be on the list, right? Maybe not. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. We might have some egg rolls associated with, I'm just thinking clowns specifically, but you know what? I don't know. Maybe not, because we just leave everything up in the air. I don't know. We'll see. Follow us on the social medias, help us out, make those picks for us, and throw us some suggestions. It's always much appreciated. Anything else, Steve, that we're forgetting about? Any final words on Fish Piss?
No, the only final thoughts I had was I did give Brian the choice between did he want to do fishmen or vampires, and he went fishmen, and so he got this. Had you gone vampires, you would have gotten Vampires Bikini Beach or Bikini Beach Vampires.
That sounds infinitely more enjoyable.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that another trauma?
I don't know who the fuck made it. I watched the first 10, 15 minutes of it. It seemed like a VHS transfer of an 80s film. Like, it's definitely an 80s film. And it was a VHS transfer of a film.
Vampire on Bikini Beach?
Yep.
Okay.
And
I'm just telling you right now, 1,000 times better.
Probably
1,000 times better.
Probably would have been, but that was your own.
Yeah.
That was your own doing. You choose your fate.
Yeah, I guess I did. I'm just looking at just a couple of images from Vampire on Bikini Beach, and it is two teenagers find a book called The Book of the Dead as soon as they discover that a vampire cult, which needs the book to raise the dead so they can take over the world, is after him. Boy, that's a dangling sentence they just wrote there, but it does look, I mean, I'm just looking at the cover, and I'm going to guess that the 1 second that is on the poster for this movie cost more than maybe 10 times more than all of Fish Piss.
Probably, yeah.
But which is to say almost any amount of money. Like, one is infinitely more than zero. So
three things were bought for the production of Fish Piss: the green morph suit, the fish mask,
maybe,
and the watermelon that they smash when they're smashing the kid's head in the garbage bag. Those are the only three expenditures I can think of, and even two of those still might have just been things on hand. So,
unless they had to buy a VHS tape to put in this camera,
no, they guaranteed just
probably
reused,
had it on hand.
Yeah, they just reused one.
You're right. All right, guys, I'm gonna never think about this again. Join us next week where, well, we have a couple of different things we got coming on this month here for the balance of February. So check it out. We're going to be watching a couple of fun movies, maybe even have a little guest or something later here in Feb. So, all right. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm addicted to Fish Piss.
I wish you were. I wish that upon you.
Hooray.
Fuck. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.